Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Don Lemon Show, Lemon Live at 5. You're going to love this show. Let me just say, you're going to love this show. And we are a little bit late for a reason, because at the last minute, a whole bunch of things came together, which is kind of the best way for all of this to work, right? I'd rather be lucky than good. Actually, I'd rather be both. If I had to be anything, I think I'd rather be lucky than good. Okay, so here's the thing. Welcome to the program, everybody. I have a question for you. Does Donald Trump have a civilian army? Does he? A private, Praetorian Guard, MAGA, militia. That's what it looks like to a lot of folks right now. And that's what some folks are saying. Why? Because there was this sort of crazy anti-Trump activist conference. It wasn't a crazy anti-Trump. There was an anti-Trump activist conference over the weekend, and it was infiltrated by terrorized by folks who participated in January 6th and were later pardoned by Donald Trump. Then the next day, the conference had to be evacuated because of a, quote, credible bomb threat. And we're going to talk about this. So there you see it. There's a threat right there. So I'm going to talk about this. This is my co-host for the evening, and I'm so happy to have him. And that is, there he is, former Capitol Police Officer Michael Fanone. And then later in the show, we're going to have a special guest, and we're going to talk with, and that is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Michael Fanone, how are you, sir? I'm getting over the flu. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. It's DC police, by the way. You'd think you'd have figured that out now 4 years after we first met. But I was a Metropolitan Police Officer, DC Police.
Let me show you something. Because I was scrambling, and I'm trying to read what Peter wrote me. Look at this. Do you see that? I couldn't even read it because I'm almost out of ink, and I didn't have a chance to do whatever. So, Michael, you're my co-host, so you're going to help. You have to help me lead the conversation and go into this. Michael, you and I have long talked about having a podcast together. You see the comments up on the screen. Folks are calling you a hero. They're saying they love you. Hi, Michael. We love you, Michael Fanone, Zelma Dixon. You only love him because you don't know him.
Exactly. I tell people that all the time. Like, you're a hero. You're an amazing person. We love everything about you. I'm like, listen, you only say that shit because you don't know me.
Because you don't know. You're not very lovable, I do have to say. Unless you like someone, if you don't like them, which I'm surprised that you didn't get into. I always call him Danny Tarrio, but what's that dude's name? Tarrio, Enrique Tarrio's ass. I'm surprised because I had Eric Swalwell on yesterday, and we both were laughing. We were like, Tarrio doesn't want that heat. There's so much rage inside of Michael Fanone. That poor guy. If they let you do to him what you probably want to do.
Yeah, no. I mean, I as you may well have known, I was a recipient of one of the presidential pardons from Joe Biden. And, I laughed about it with my family. I was like, well, I don't really need a pardon for shit I did in the past. I need a pardon for things in the future.
What happened? I'm gonna play that Enrique Tarrio thing. But what happened? Were they holding you back? And there was one thing that both Eric and Eric is a friend of yours as well, that both of us cracked up on when you said it was. We were like, and I was like, that's the Michael I know. But what happened with that dude? And were they holding you back?
Yeah. Well, first, you describe the conference as like an anti-Trump conference, and that's pretty accurate. I mean, essentially what it is it's a grassroots organization that brings together a diverse group of Americans who place democracy above political parties and political ideology. And so I was one of the speakers. I was there with Harry Dunn, with Aquilino Ganell, and Danny Hodges. For those of you who don't know, we were the 4 officers that testified at the first January 6th Select Committee hearing. So we're there, and I had just finished a panel discussion, and I hear from the security at the event that Enrique Tarrio and several Proud Boys were trying to gain access to the event. At one point, now, let me also paint a full picture of my family was there at this event. My children were there. My mother was there. My father was there. My sister were there, all of them in attendance. And so at one point I was walking through one of the, open access areas, and Enrique Tarrio recognized me Immediately, the security staff, escorted me away from Mr. Tarrio, who continued to pursue us. And, it was kind of laughable because you've got Enrique Tarrio and this guy, Ivan Ranklin, who's another absolute nut job. They're equipped with body-worn cameras. They're flanked by several other Proud Boys in their little cosplay costumes. And they've got, they all have cell phone cameras. So let me, I don't want to downplay this organization. They are dangerous. This is a very dangerous group of individuals, pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, and they use tactics to intimidate people. They use violence to intimidate people. This is a violent extremist organization. Enrique Tarrio, though, is kind of unique. I mean, he's kind of taken up the leadership position in this. Enrique Tarrio and Ivan Ranklin are looking for viral moments that they can film, blast on social media, up their profile, make themselves become more popular, and do what? Sell Proud Boys merchandise. They want to sell hats and T-shirts, and they want to sell ammunition magazines with the Proud Boys logo on it. It's a grift. It's a grift, but they've got chapters all across America, and these individuals go out. They commit acts of violence against people that have opposing viewpoints. They videotape them. They put them up on YouTube, and they build this brand, and then they use the brand to make money.
Yeah. Well, it's okay because he's a bald-headed bitch. Is what
Ivan Ranklin most certainly. That's my professional opinion. Is a bald-headed bitch.
When you said that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, there is the Michael I know," and I nearly fell out of my chair because I was like, "There he is! There's a guy I know." Let me play it. This is you being confronted over the weekend. Here it is.
You guys are brave on the sentencing me. You sat there, you laughed for like 22 fucking years. Now you don't even want to look in my eyes. You fucking coward. You were a coward that day. You were a coward after.
Just go home. Just go home. You're a traitor to this country.
Yeah, so are you,
You're a traitor to this country.
You're a fucking traitor,
fucking
piece of
traitor
shit.
to this country.
That's why they fired your ass, and that's why your own people turned on you, you piece of shit. You ain't the fucking boy over here. You fucking failure. And the other one's another fucking failure. A little failure. Run from me, motherfucker. Run from me.
He's not staying in the hotel. He's trespassing.
You fucking piece of shit. Run from me.
Fuck you.
Oh, you can say that while you're over there, motherfucker. You didn't do shit.
Bald-headed bitch. Fuck you.
Tourette's, man.
You're muted, Don.
Don, you're muted.
All right, I'm laughing. I was muted because I was laughing so much. I was waiting for that. When you said that, I'm like, there he is, right there. I was waiting. So what were you thinking right there? And I don't want to laugh because I know these guys are terrorizing you, but that guy does not want. He's just putting on a show because you would have. I'm not going to say you.
Enrique Tarrio is a clown. He's a cartoon character. He wears a stupid little uniform and he wears his sunglasses inside. I mean, he's a clown. He's there to try to, like I said, create a viral moment, boost his image, or he's looking for, somebody to assault him or threaten him, and then he's going to go file a lawsuit. I was talking to Jim Acosta the other day, and I was telling him that, this group that really does put masculinity on a pedestal and values it so highly, but yet they choose to settle their disputes by suing people. Where I'm from, the least masculine thing you can do is file a lawsuit against somebody that you have a beef with. That's what this guy's all about. He's a clown.
Yeah. You had a few choice words. Are you nervous about them? That something they may do? Or you just think that they're just pussies and they won't. They're just
No, I mean, listen, I don't want to, say that there's not people out there that wouldn't, use violence against myself. I'm much more concerned about threats against my family. I mean, listen, we got away from the four corners of that day, but the following day, a bomb threat was called into the Principal's First Summit. It was very, very specific. It listed most of the speakers that were there that day as being targeted. And it also, said that I especially deserve to die. And it included my mother. And it included my mother's home address. There was a bomb threat called into my mother's home. And we had to have law enforcement respond, clear the house. And this is something, it's become such a common occurrence. My mom, you've talked to her many, many times in the past. And the sad thing is, when I called her to tell her, there's this bomb threat at your house, she said, well, okay, I'm just going to go over to Panera Bread and get something to eat while the police clear the house. And it's like, it's become so normalized in our family, so commonplace that this kind of stuff occurs, that that's the response. And to me, that's sickening. This is a 76-year-old woman who worked for the city government her entire life, put in her time, and in her retirement has to deal with this bullshit from a bunch of animals. In addition to that, my ex-wife, my sister and her family, and my father and my brother all received threats of a host of variety, whether it's direct threats, swatting incidents, harassing phone calls, and such over the past 24 hours. And that in the Fanone household, for the Fanone family, has been commonplace now, really for the past 4 years, all because their son had the courage to testify before Congress about what I experienced on January 6th as a law enforcement officer. And then that goes back into who I am and who Enrique Tarrio is. I am a former police officer who took it upon himself to respond to the United States Capitol and protect members of Congress, staff, and democracy. Enrique Tarrio is a convicted seditious conspirator, which in layman's terms, he committed treason, who is supposed to be spending the next 22 years of his life in prison, but because of Donald Trump, he's out. And that goes back to your first question, Don, in this in this segment is, does Donald Trump have a civilian army or a civilian militia? The answer to that question is yes. He's got the Oath Keepers, he's got the 3%ers, and he's got the Proud Boys. And what he's done with these presidential pardons is he has emboldened these organizations, these violent extremist groups, to go out and commit violent acts on his behalf, knowing full well that they will suffer no consequences whatsoever criminally for their actions. And the question has got to be to the American people, is this acceptable? Is this the America that you want to live in? Listen, there's a lot of reasons right now to be angry and outraged by what this administration is doing. But this certainly should be at the top of everybody's list.
Mike, it hurts my heart to hear that about your family. And because, look, you know how I feel about you. Sometimes we talk a lot and sometimes we don't. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead. What do you want to say?
No, yeah, I'm the first person. I'm an asshole, man.
But I love you, right? And that every time, so sometimes I don't hear from you, but I do. I'll call your or text your brother and say, hey, what's up? I haven't heard from Mike or whatever. And then I know that you're living your life. So just know that I'm always here for you, and there are people who do care about you and love you. Let me just take the time to tell everyone, because I want everyone, as many people as possible, to be able to and to be aware of this conversation. And so make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, And the membership link is at the top of the chat. And I think it's important. This is more important than any other time, I believe, to support independent media. I'm going to talk to you because I know that you became friendly with Joy Reid over at MSNBC. So I'll talk to you about what you think about that. But since you're my co-host, I want you to sit by and leave us up on the screen, Andy. I just before the broadcast, or before the stream, I taped this a couple minutes with Jasmine Crockett, and I want everyone to sit and listen to it. And then Michael Fanone and I are going to continue our conversation. My co-host is Michael Fanone, who is a former police officer who fought to keep the folks inside the Capitol safe and fought to protect America and democracy on January 6th. Of course, we know what happened. And then we're going to talk to him about what's going on with his life. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, make sure you hit the like. And now, Michael and I, and you guys sit back. Here is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who joined me just moments ago. Here it is. Congresswoman, you know, we had Congressman Eric Swalwell on yesterday, and he said that Democrats really need to take a page out of his book and your book and step up. What do you think about that? And really change their message to be more of what the people want to hear, not so buttoned up, and speak like real folks, and to actually do something for them.
Yeah, I think that that's right. You know, one advantage that Eric and I both have is that we've been trial room attorneys, right? This means that we understand what it takes to talk to everyday people. When you are trying to either, in his case, prosecute somebody and get a jury to be convinced that you need to lock somebody up, or me, try to make sure that they hear my side of the story as I'm defending somebody, you got to understand who your audience is. And at the end of the day, we're not talking to other politicians. We're talking to everyday people. And we need to start to use the communication tools that work best for them, which is to talk to them just like we would talk to our friends. Because to be perfectly honest, we don't walk around talking to our friends the way that we typically talk when we're out there, say, on the stump.
So listen, someone, I think it was a reporter, I'm not sure if it was just an average citizen or a reporter who asked you this question. I think it was on the Capitol steps. Here it is. I'll play it and I want to get your response.
That's it. Listen, we have power so long as we stand together. Right now, if the government shuts down on March 14th, they're going to try to blame Democrats and say the Democrats shut it down. Well, no, we didn't. Because guess what? We're in the minority. But so long as we stand strong and not one Democrat falters, let me tell you, there are going to be Republicans that don't want to vote for this, and they can't lose more than one vote. So long as we stand together and so long as we're here, and the Republicans, they're dysfunctional. They can't get this done by themselves. Is this a preview to how
message? So, Congresswoman, when was that? And he asked you, the person asked you, what would you say if you could speak directly to Elon Musk? And I love your response. And I think that the American people will love it too.
Yeah. So actually, there were a number of influencers that came out today. Leader Jeffries organized a big news conference, and that news conference had everyday people telling their very real stories, and they had those of us that understand that we work for the American people standing behind them in support. And then there were influencers on the side afterwards, and so we did a bit of a quick kind of presser with myself and a number of influencers, and I was asked what would I say if, you know, I could say something to Elon Musk, and I said what I said. So, I mean, here's the deal. I mean, I don't have much to say to him. Like, the fact that we're having all these conversations about him is already a problem. This is not somebody that was appointed and has to be Senate confirmed. This is not someone that was duly elected. This is not even someone who has a full-time gig with the federal government, yet we are constantly talking about him because he is exceeding his powers. So my real questions are, Elon, if you're not running Doge, then who is? Because y'all told the courts that Elon isn't running Doge, but then we hear that OPM sends out an email to all of the federal government employees talking about, tell me what you did in the last week, give me 5 bullet points. My question is, Elon, what have you done besides tear us apart, besides be in over your head, besides make sure that you continue to enrich yourself so that not only you can continue to be the richest person in the world, but you can make sure that other people that are already struggling, unfortunately, end up falling on even harder times?
So the White House today said the acting administrator for President Donald Trump's so-called Department of Government Efficiency has been identified as Amy Gleason, a White House official confirmed on Tuesday. I've never heard of Amy Gleason. The only person that I see in the Oval Office is Elon Musk leading a press conference while Donald Trump looks on like he's a subordinate. So do you buy that this Amy Gleason is actually running Doge, or is it Elon Musk?
No, it sounds like she's a fall girl. And I say fall girl because we know how they feel about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we know that the people that have benefited the most from diversity, equity, and inclusion have been white women. Now, I don't know anything about Amy, but I know enough about Trump that I believe that whoever this Amy woman is probably a white woman. And so ultimately, when whatever failures happen at Doge, it sounds like she's just going to be the fall woman. But they know that whatever has been exerted as it relates to Elon Musk has exceeded any constitutional authority, as well as exceeded any legal authority. And that is why they have decided that they needed to do what's right when they go into court. But online, you see how Elon acts. He acts like he's running Doge. He said he's running Doge. He talks about his little techie kids that he hired. I mean, so I don't believe it. I don't know who Amy is.
What do you think of those kids?
I honestly don't know anything about them except for,
and what do you think of Doge?
One was a hacker. One is for sure a racist based upon things that he's posted. But anybody that decides to do this radical nonsense with Donald Trump and his administration, it's not surprising that they would be people that are okay with breaking the law, or that they would be people that are associated with white supremacists or are white supremacists themselves. I think the idea that we have put out there, or they have put out there, that they are rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, these little kids that don't know anything about the federal government are not the ones to do it. We are duly elected members of Congress. That is our job. And honestly, if you feel like Congress isn't doing their job, we are elected every 2 years. Start firing us. Stop electing some of these people. I got a long list of people to start with, but just stop electing us. Like, we're up all the time. And that's the way that it's supposed to be, right? But these people should be coming before my committee, my subcommittee, the Doge subcommittee, and they should be sharing with us and saying, listen, representatives, these are the things that we find and we believe are waste, fraud, and or abuse. That is what they should be doing. And then allowing us to go through the process, allowing us to say, yes, we will further investigate, or to say, yes, we agree. And then when it comes time to do the budget, when it comes time to get through those votes, we come up with something that is well informed. Instead, we're having a budget vote in a few minutes, and it ain't got nothing to do with anything that Doge has been doing. That's the wild part. We're about to vote on it, and the only thing that I can tell you is that they're going to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare.
Yeah,
and that they're going for Social Security next.
So you were asked, what would you say to Elon Musk if you could speak to him in person? You said to F off, but if he came in front of your committee, what would you ask him?
So number one, I would ask him, why is it that we should trust him in any way, considering the fact that he has conflicts, and if he's willing to disavow himself of those conflicts. That's number one. Number two, I would also ask him why the American people should trust him and believe that somehow he can right a ship when he decided to buy Twitter, and Twitter has not done well under his leadership whatsoever. In fact, right now they are showing people to get them to advertise on his platform. And I would ask him if he believes that that is okay. If he believes that serving as the first mate of the president somehow should allow him to really twist people's arms in an effort to make money, or whether he should be using that position to engage in conversations with international leaders, prime ministers, or presidents around the world to further enrich himself, or threaten their countries with agreements that have already been made and assurances as it relates to money, and basically hold up that money unless he gets money or he gets contracts from them. I mean, people need to understand how dangerous it is to have anyone. Elon is the guy at this moment, but to have anyone in this type of position. And right now it seems like he is skirting all the rules, skirting all ethics, and he is a full-blown oligarch. And I know we don't like to use that term because that's not an everyday term, but it sounds like a really nasty, ugly thing. So I'm using the term.
Don, you're muted.
Sorry. So I wonder how you feel when people use terms like autocracy or dictatorship. And the reason I'm asking that is because the White House announced today that it plans to hand select the reporters who can ask the president questions at many events. The White House is breaking decades of precedent. The Trump administration said it would start handpicking which media outlets were allowed to participate in the presidential press pool, the small rotating group of reporters who relay the president's day-to-day activities to the public. Are you concerned about the sort of controlling of the press and the seeming leaning into autocracy now and just sort of dictating what people can hear? Is this a concern for you? What do you think of this?
Yeah, clearly he's been having a lot of pillow talk with his bestie, Putin. This is what Putin does, right? We know that Putin doesn't believe in freedoms. We know that he believes in propaganda, and anyone that comes up against him, because we know that there is a strong suspicion that he made sure that there was a strong person of opposition that was killed. And so right now we have a president that says that he loves and believes in the Constitution and took an oath, even though he didn't take it on the Bible, took an oath and swore that oath. Yet what we see in practice is not measuring up, because there is this such thing as freedom of speech. There is this such thing as freedom of the press. And right now, what it seems like is if you speak up and out against him, then you will be canceled. And so it's coming from the people that allegedly don't like anything as it relates to cancel culture, but that's exactly what they're doing. And so this is not America. It is not the land of the free. People are allowed to disagree. We didn't see Joe Biden, for all the bad things that they have to say about him. He didn't say that Fox News couldn't come in for any of the briefings. They were allowed to come in, and we know that Fox News is always doing the bidding of Donald Trump, and that's why we've got so many Fox News anchors that somehow are now a part of the administration, because that was the only qualification, is that you be one of those Fox people who we know had pledged their loyalty instead of doing what they are supposed to do, something that you have done the vast majority of your career. Actually, I shouldn't say vast majority of your career, your entire career. Been a journalist. You are supposed to follow the facts, whether they are good, bad, or indifferent. You are supposed to follow the facts and report the facts. Right now, we are in a factual crisis. And honestly, I know most people are saying a constitutional crisis, but we're in both.
So let me ask you this, and thank you. I appreciate the compliment, and I agree with you. We should be, giving the facts without fear or favor, right? Keeping power in check. But what would you then have those reporters do, especially when you look at the Associated Press? They have been blocked out because they won't call it the Gulf of America instead of the Gulf of Mexico, which it is. What do you think the press should do how do they stand up to this president? And should they be supporting their fellow journalists at the Associated Press?
I think that they should all get out. I mean, he only wants, certain folk, but I think that if they're real journalists, they should just get out of the room. And honestly, if they want to have a real conversation about what's going on, they can come over and they can have a conversation with the Democrats. They can have a conversation with the Democratic leaders, either Schumer and or Hakeem Jeffries, and they can find out what's really happening, because as he stands up there, all he does is spit out lies, and the reason that he gets so upset is because he doesn't want people to check him in real time. I mean, we saw this even throughout the campaign. And what was really frustrating is that he laid the foundation for this type of fealty, because during the campaign, he wouldn't show up to a debate or anything else unless there was an agreement that he would not be fact checked. Same thing with his vice presidential nominee, now the vice president, who we saw during that vice presidential debate get so up in arms because he said, wait a minute, you're not supposed to fact check me. Like they don't want facts because the facts are not on their side. And that is the thing. If we as Democrats can communicate and get the facts across and make sure that we can shut down all the lies and the propaganda and the misinformation and the disinformation and just get people to know the real, then the problem is the real doesn't work out well for them. It doesn't work out well when you tell people that, yes, I want people like Elon Musk to have more money, and I want you, a person who's just trying to make it, I don't want you to have that $6 a day for SNAP benefits. I don't want you to have access to education, because then you can potentially move up as it relates to your economic opportunities. Like, if you have a real conversation, then people tend to say, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. Look, and you're right about the fact checking. That's exactly what they're doing now. They want to sort of handpick and control the narrative that's going out there. And that should be very concerning, not only to the press, but for Americans as a whole. Now, I want to ask you, because I know you've got a vote to get to as we are doing this interview now, at the time that we are taping this interview. Two things. Number one, I'll just ask you this one first. Are Democrats okay with what you are doing? Because I see you everywhere. You're being very authentic. You and Eric Swalwell are doing these interviews on digital, and you are talking like real Americans, saying F and just having real conversations. Are the Democrats okay with that?
I don't, it depends on which Democrats you're talking about. I mean, overall, I will say that as I've engaged in meetings across the country, that people are happy to see that I am not giving up and that I'm fighting and that there's fire in my belly, because I do think that the house is on fire. I do think that our country is on fire. And I do believe that that we need to fight to make sure that we can preserve everything that we know to be great about this country. And I think that people just want to know that we care enough and that we're passionate enough and that we're scared as well. But even in this scary time, that we will lead and we will forge forward. And I think that that's what they're seeing out of some of us.
Okay, but I meant leadership, basically.
I've not been tapped on my hand. So I've not been tapped on my hand yet. So I will say that. No, I've not. I've not been tapped, guys. Do
you think that your colleagues are getting the message that they need to be more real and they need to get out there and fight for democracy, fight for the American people?
I think that everybody recognizes that they're different, right? Like, not everybody is me or Eric that walks in. And so I think that their fight looks different. You know, I've been talking to colleagues since we've been back and asking them about what they did in their districts. And so I will say that I feel encouraged based on the conversations that I've had with my colleagues about what's taking place in their districts. I think that there are certain members of Congress, though, that are not just talking to our district, but we're talking to the country. And I just don't think that you're going to see the entire caucus talking to the entire country.
Okay. One last thing I want to ask you about. I have Michael Fanone, Officer Michael Fanone, who was a hero and fought to save the Capitol and lives on January 6th. He's a friend of mine. He's going to be co-anchoring this program with me today, because I think that he deserves a voice and I want to hear from him. He has been attacked by the president of the United States, by Republicans. He was attacked by the head of the Proud Boys the other day. What do you want to say to him and to the folks who are attacking him?
Okay, I'm not going to cuss no more.
You can if you want.
No, I'm not going to, since I'm still, anyway. What I will say, though, is that this idea of law and order, it is out the window. So don't come at us talking about law and order, and absolutely don't talk to us about family values when this is what you support. We have a criminal in the White House who supports other criminals. It is very simple. This idea of backing the blue, it is out the window too. So don't tell me that you were always standing against Black Lives Matter because you were backing the blue, because you don't. What you've always stood for is the suppression and the hatred towards Black folk. That is what you've stood for. And the idea that anybody would have the audacity of stopping white supremacists who commit 80% of the most violent crimes in this country and do what is right by law. Listen, that dude got over 20 years in prison because he violated the laws of the United States. And guess what? He had his day in court. And a jury found him guilty. And now he's walking around acting bad and going after a former police officer. Like, I just don't understand. If I had one thing to say, I would say this, and I will let you go. Is that we need to go back to our elementary lessons. Like maybe go find your kids that's in kindergarten or first grade that talk about being nice, that talk about right versus wrong, that talk about black and white. It's very simple. These guys are on the wrong side of history. These guys are on the wrong side of the law. And we all need to say together, regardless of what party you're affiliated with, what is right and what is wrong. And what we saw on January 6th, in short, it was wrong. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this man walked into the White House and decided that he was going to let all those thugs, because we know one ended up being killed by law enforcement since he got out. We know one got arrested on a gun charge since he got out. We know another one went down and is doing time for killing somebody in a vehicular crash when she got out. And we know that another one got arrested for child pornography. What are we doing? Mm-hmm. I'm not finna pretend.
And to Fanone, Officer Fanone, what are you saying?
Thank you. It's very simple. Thank you. I mean, the work that he did on that day, he did the right thing, and he's consistently stayed in this fight. You know, he is always standing up, and he is always reminding people of what happened not only to him, but his colleagues on that day. And he didn't have to. He could have literally said, I'm out of here and I'm going to go live a very quiet life. But he believed in the service that he gave. He believed in serving a cause that is bigger and greater than him. And that is why he is still serving a country that right now, many of us are questioning whether or not our service is something that this country honors or appreciates, because it seems like every single person that is trying to do right by America, well, right now, she ain't really riding with the people that are riding for her.
Well, we honor and we appreciate you, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. Keep it up and keep fighting for the people because they want it. Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, Michael, what do you say? Is your dog trying to get in there? Congress. I have the same thing with my dog. I see you trying to shush him away. What do you think?
I mean, listen, I'm a fan of Jasmine Crockett. I mean, not because of, you know, any particular policy or you know, really anything political. She's a staunch fighter for democracy, you know, just like Eric Swalwell. I mean, I think that leadership in the Democratic Party could take a lesson from them, because the appropriate emotion to be experiencing right now is anger and outrage. And it seems to me like the Democrats skipped the anger, skipped the outrage, and went right to a paralyzing fear. And I mean, to me, it's uninspiring and it's disgusting.
So let's talk about what's going on in the world. You heard what happened at the White House. I asked her about it. They're trying to pick and choose which people can ask questions and what media they want to be in, you know, the circle or on the plane or in the briefing room or whatever. And it's a break from tradition. What do you think of this administration? What, this is a controlling of the narrative. And do you think the media is like being strong enough in this moment?
I mean, I think there's, you know, there are some voices. I mean, unfortunately, the legacy media has capitulated to Donald Trump and to this administration in a way that really is disgusting. But you have, you know, voices like yourself, you know, people like your former colleague, Jim Acosta, who, you know, are out there, who are really expressing their anger and their outrage at what's happening in this country. And, you know, we unfortunately, you know, those voices are just few and far between. Everybody else seems to be trying to cover this as if it's normal behavior, which to me is, you know, it's what the whole reason why I don't watch any legacy media is. It's, you know, it makes my head want to explode.
Michael, what do you think then if you're talking about legacy media? By the way, I want to tell you guys, we have an AMA and Ask Me Anything with Michael coming up. You can ask him whatever questions that you want, so feel free to ask. But Michael, what do you think of Joy Reid? Her show was canceled. She's left the network. Last night was her last broadcast. I had a watch party here. I've been very supportive. What do you think about what happened with Joy?
I mean, I thought it was outrageous. I saw it as like, MSNBC again capitulating to the Trump administration, just the same way that CNN did with Jim Acosta. They're looking to offload their, Trump's biggest critics. Joy Reid is a personal friend of mine. Full disclosure. I called her the other day and I told her that it sucks, and I'm sorry. But I also told her that ever since I left the Metropolitan Police Department in 2021, I've been telling people that in Trump's America, the truth will set you free from employment.
I love it. I love your honesty. Let me just play this because I want you to be honest about this, and I want to know what you think about this young lady. But this is them announcing what they're going to do today over at the White House. Here it is.
As you all know, for decades, a group of DC-based journalists, the White House Correspondents Association, has long dictated which journalists get to ask questions of the President of the United States in these most intimate spaces. Not anymore. I am proud to announce that we are going to give the power back to the people who read your papers, who watch your television shows, and who listen to your radio stations. Moving forward, the White House press pool will be determined by the White House press team. Legacy outlets who have participated in the press pool for decades will still be allowed to join, fear not, but we will also be offering the privilege to well-deserving outlets who have never been allowed to share in this awesome responsibility. Just like we added a new media seat in this briefing room, legacy media outlets who have been here for years will still participate in the pool. But new voices are going to be welcomed in as well. As part of these changes, we will continue the rotation amongst the 5 major television networks to ensure the President's remarks are heard far and wide around this world. We will add additional streaming services which reach different audiences than traditional cable and broadcast. This is the ever-changing landscape of the media in the United States today. We will continue to rotate a print pooler who has the great responsibility of quickly transcribing the President's remarks and disseminating them to the rest of the world. And we will add outlets to the print pool rotation who have long been denied the privilege to partake in this experience, but are committed to covering this White House beat. We will continue to rotate a radio pooler and add other radio hosts who have been denied access, especially local radio hosts who serve as the heartbeat of our country. And we will add additional outlets and reporters who are well suited to cover the news of the day and ask substantive questions of the President of the United States, depending on the news he is making on that given day.
Okay. Let me put up what Brian Stelter said, and then I want to get with you. So Brian Stelter from, Brian is still with CNN, said, the White House Correspondents Association's response, this move tears at the heart of independence of a free press in the United States. It suggests, the government will choose the journalists who cover the president. In a free country, leaders must not be able to choose their own press corps. What say you, Michael Fanone?
Well, first, I had a former colleague, and he used to tell me that, you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. That's what I would call, putting a polish on a turd. Like, this is it. It's so clear what it is. It's if you say nice things about us, we'll give you access to, the White House and to ask questions of me, the spokesperson for the White House and the president. And if you say mean things about us, we're going to kick you out, or we're just going to, prevent you from having access or being able to answer any questions. That is about as simplest terms as I can put it for my fellow Americans. And what that to me says is that it's just another example of this administration's authoritarianism and their fetishizing authoritarianism, and that's it.
Yeah. So, Mike, let's talk. All right, you're co-hosting. I don't know if you have anything you asked me. You have been saying forever, why don't we do a podcast? Even when I was at CNN, we need to do a podcast. I called you up the other day and said, Michael, we need to do a podcast and we'll call it The Insurrectionists.
Well,
but I don't know if you want to do that.
We'll come up with a good. I mean, the reason that we didn't do the podcast at the time was because we were both employed by CNN, and that CNN would have fired us. And so that ultimately was, I think what was behind all of that. Now it just so happened that two of us ended up parting ways with CNN, anyways, without getting to do the podcast. But I think we should resurrect that idea and make it happen. I voted for Ebony and Ivory. I know that's been used a bunch of times, but it's an oldie and a goodie, and probably nobody trademarked it.
What do you think? You think that would go over well?
Who gives a shit?
This
is really bizarro land. Like, it's a lawless environment. You do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah. I say maybe we could call it lemon law, because I'm the lemon and you're the law. I don't know about that. That's kind of corny, right?
That's pretty fucking corny. Also like that. I mean, there really is no law and order. You've got. You got this guy, like, just take, for instance, I was a DC cop. I work closely with the Department of Justice and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. And you've got an insurrectionist running the, Washington field office of the Department of Justice, Ed Martin. This is a guy that was a staunch Trump supporter, and also, was integral in, the Stop the Steal rally that was there on January 6th at the United States Capitol, although he was never criminally charged. And this is the guy who's charged with administrating justice in the District of Columbia. Fair and impartial. It's just unbelievable to me that this is where we've come. I mean, we really are in an age of lawlessness in America.
So Lemon and Fanone, like Lemon and Patron, Lemon and the Law, no law and order. Oh, Salt and Pepper, The Cell. Let's see. No, Law and Order is a good name. Someone said Lemon and Fanone. I kind of like it. Lemon and Fanone. There it is. Ebony and Ivory. I think Ebony and Ivory is no law and order is catchy. The Lawless Podcast. You like that?
Yeah, I'm down with that.
But I do kind of like. I think we should just be outrageous and call it something like maybe you're right.
Like
fucking Salt and Pepper.
Canceled. Right. Yeah. I mean,
the cable guys.
We both got canceled from CNN. You just call it canceled.
I'm cool with that. Someone said boycott Fox was that Law and Disorder. Okay. Let's see. We have to figure something out. Come up with something for us, because we want to try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay, so listen, Ivory.
What's his name? Who's the rapper that like put it into some like rap, come up with a cool rap name, an algorithm, and then it out popped the name, and now he's the white kid with the face tattoos.
Oh shit. Post Malone?
Post Malone. Yeah. It was like some automated thing. We should just put our, Don Lemon and Mike Fanone into some machine and have it generate a cool name for us. That's what AI is for.
You think so? Cancel Club. The Outcast. I do like that.
The Outcast.
The Outcast. I like that. Fanone, he gorgeous. Someone says that's what Latanya Peach says. Latanya LaPeach says Fanone is gorgeous. Oh, CNN cancel news now. What do you think of that? Okay.
I don't know what your contract status. You still got that clause that says you can't like talk shit about them, or is that over and done with? I never even read mine, to be honest with you. I started right away.
You never read your exit agreement?
No. I didn't give a fuck. And it's like blood from a stone, man. You want to come sue me? Great.
Okay, this is an Ask Me Anything from Michael Fanone. Michael, I love it. Mike's Lemon. Oh, Mike's Hard Lemon. Maybe not that one. Oh, I like that. Drop the mic. Mike, that's a good one for you.
Okay. Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. That's a good one. So do you guys have any questions for Michael Fanone? I said we're going to have a little Ask Me Anything. Fanone and Oates. Like Hall and Oates. I do like salt and pepper, or maybe I do. I'm gonna just call you Ivory. You can call me Ebony. So I don't know. Blackie and Whitey. I mean, if we're gonna get canceled, Mike, you look like you've been hitting the gym, bro. What are you doing? You look huge.
Well, unemployment has allowed me a lot of gym time. And so, yeah, man, I get in there every day, and it's also, that's how I release the stress of, interacting with people like Enrique Tarrio, and, yeah.
Yeah. If you could do anything right now, what would it be?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, like, I can't see myself doing anything other than what I'm doing in this particular moment, just because of who I am and what I've been through and what my family has been through. Like I'm here for the long haul. I'm not going to rest until, MAGA has been purged from America. That's my, that's where I'm going. And then, I don't know, like after that's done, maybe one of these billionaires will let me use his yacht for a couple weeks so I can get some R&R.
Yeah. I don't think people realize just how, if someone said hot fuzz, they're calling you hot fuzz. I don't think people realize just how, like, just what the life that you've led and just how diverse you are in your thinking and what you've done. You've worked as law enforcement. You were, I think, were you a Trump supporter at one point and then changed, or no?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, if I had to describe myself, I was a cop. Like I was a cop's cop. I love, my whole social circle was other cops. Now I did work in narcotics, and narcotics are kind of like the redheaded stepchildren of law enforcement. It was very non-traditional. And I'm not what you would think of. Like I didn't have a high and tight. I hated wearing a uniform. But I was very close with that community. But very apolitical. I mean, I can remember a time in this country where political conversations, like outside of people who are actually actively engaged in politics for a living, was just not something that you talked about. And then, it seemed like in the last half of the Obama administration, all of a sudden, like there was just like this anger in the country. And, for me, I did support Trump in so fucking long ago, 2016. Again, like I was a cop and I saw, the conversation that was being had about police and policing in America. And I felt like there was one political party that supported law enforcement and one political party that did not. And I'm all about having conversations about policing and police reform. I just felt like the way that these politicians, specifically Democratic politicians at that time, were treating these polarizing incidents involving police interacting with people of color was not constructive. And I went to funerals of police officers who were assassinated for nothing other than putting on a uniform and being a cop. And so for me, that really was what the motivation, like I never was like a Trump guy per se. I thought Trump was a fucking clown. It's just another rich asshole, at the head of a political party. And so go ahead.
But you supported Republicans, you think, because they supported law enforcement. I get it. And we've talked about these things, but I want people to get to know you.
Yeah.
I know it sounds like a cliche. By the way, someone had a really good name I came up with a name, and I think it should be Crockett and Tubbs. But that should be the name of our podcast, Crockett and Tubbs. But I want people to know that when you say some of your best friends are black, some of your best friends really are black. And I wonder what you've been thinking about how like trans people have been demonized over this last election, because isn't one of your best friends a trans person, or was? She died, right?
Yeah, she passed away shortly after January 6th. Yeah, her name was Leslie. And she was, a street hustler, drug addict, prostitute, someone that I met, obviously through law enforcement. And she was somebody that worked with me closely, when I was, drug police in DC. And she ended up becoming one of my closest friends. And, they were, I trusted her at times even more than I trusted my fellow police officers. And, it was never like, oh, I've got a trans friend or that Leslie's transgender. It's just like, it's fucking Leslie. Just like it was never like she's black. It's just fucking Leslie. And so, it's cool. Or it would be great if we could get back to a point where, people just saw each other as Americans, or I don't know, human beings, rather than looking at them and, judging them by their, political ideology, or judging them by their appearance or the color of their skin, or I don't know whether they, what their sexual orientation is. I'm really like, I know it might shock you, but I really am all about like being compassionate and empathetic and treating people decently. I always felt like that was what made me such a great cop, especially somebody that worked with, I worked with a lot of informants. And the reason I had a lot of informants was because I treated people decently, regardless of, what their background was, whether they were a drug dealer or a drug addict. I could see people as human beings. And that's, unfortunately, to me, that's the worst thing about Donald Trump, and the worst thing about this MAGA movement is it's inhumane.
Yeah.
It doesn't treat people as human beings.
Yeah.
In every form. Most recently, obviously, you talk about current events like Elon Musk and Doge or whatever the fuck that is, like coming out and just firing people indiscriminately, destroying people's lives, taking away their ability to provide for their families. And for what? It's just, it's inhumane. And people need to be, we've become too indifferent in this country. We don't care so much about what happens to our neighbor. We don't care about things until we ourselves are impacted negatively. And we got to get away from that. You got to be able to look at your neighbors, and you got to be able to just, even people out of state on the other side of the country, like look at the impact that it's having on these people and their lives. And you should be outraged and angry. And I think that we're starting to see some of that, spring up in different pockets throughout the country. And I hope that continues.
Yeah. So, Michael, what do you want to say to the elimination?
You can't even put me on the spot like that.
You can say you can say Don F off. I don't want to talk to the elimination. You can talk to me like you're talking on the phone. Just don't say anything that's going to get us even further canceled. Okay?
Yeah, no. I'll tell you, Don Lemon is my oldest January 6th friend. And I'll tell you, like when I first got released out of the hospital and I was getting like, you know, inundated with all these like crazy phone calls and shit like that. And I think it was who put us in touch? Was it Eric Swalwell?
No, I put no, I called Eric Swalwell and I put you into you guys became friends because of me.
Yeah,
but I think it was a booker or someone called and said, you know, I have Michael Fanone's phone number. I think I called you and you like answered, right?
I remember it vividly. Like I was at, you know, and we talked probably for like an hour and a half.
Or longer.
Yeah, or longer. And I want, you know, I want Lemon Nation to know, like, we probably talked every other day at some point, sometimes every day for literally for months. And I know, you know, like a lot of people are like, oh, Don was trying to like get you on his show. And I'm sure that was fucking part of it. But like, it was months before I decided to do your show back when you were at CNN. And most people, in fact, everybody that I, you know, fucking strung on for that period of time just gave up. But like Don called me every fucking day and then continued to call me for years and years after that. And really has been, I mean, he's a good dude. He's a good dude and he cares. And yeah, man, I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. But you know what? You are not so lovable unless you like them, because you can be an ass. You know
asshole. I mean, you know, like I remember I was talking to Peter Herman, who's a crime reporter from the Washington Post, and he was doing this article about you know, when I resigned from the police department and talking about like, it's like, hey, you know, how many people would you count as friends at the police department at this point? And I was like, I don't know, maybe like 2. And I was like, but Peter, full disclosure, I didn't have more than 2 friends before fucking January 6th at the Metropolitan Police Department.
Wait, can you tell this story? You used to wear a shirt with my face on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I found this shirt on like Etsy or something, and it was like that. It was similar to like the Obama, you know, it was like the red, white, and blue kind of whatever. And so I found it and I ordered it, and I couldn't figure out like a good time to wear it. And so I finally, like, I really broke it out for your last show at CNN and wore the shirt to that.
Yeah, but tell them about after I left CNN. And
I would wear the shirt to my CNN hits. I feel I really do like I terrorize those people. Like I would make everybody uncomfortable in the green room. Yeah, I'd talk shit to the guests that I didn't fucking like. I mean, I had a grand old time. I really did. All
right, bro. I'm going to get out of here. But look, we need to explore this podcasting, and it'll run right here on the Don Lemon channel. We'll try to do it. And we'll make it fun and we'll make it interesting. And you can talk about other things than January 6th, right? I think people are worried, like, oh, can he talk about other shit than January 6th? And you can.
Yeah, man. I'm a complex human being.
You don't have any more kids since the last time I talked to you, do you?
Not that I know of.
What do you have, 3 now?
4. I got 4 daughters. Yep.
You have 4? I thought you had 3 daughters.
No, man, I got the 3 youngest, but my oldest is 22 from a previous interaction.
Oh, right. That's right. I remember now. Okay, yeah. So Mike, we'll have a couple cocktails. We'll do a podcast. We'll like discover restaurants, bars. We'll do some fun shit. Are you down?
Oh, I'm 100% down. Yeah, man.
All right. Hey, man, I love you. Thank you for coming on, being my co-host today.
Love you too, buddy. Thank you.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. It was great, man. I had a good time.
Okay. Say hi to your family and be safe, okay?
I will. My mom says hi too. She's standing the other side of the room.
Okay. Can she come in? Tell her.
Yeah. Come here, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
I miss talking to you. How are you doing?
You know, what's the matter with people? You know, what the hell is the matter with people? So it's calm up here. This is the calmest I've been, the best I slept in probably 3 years. And it's peaceful. I'm in the woods, God knows where. And I'm tired of being afraid.
Yeah.
Tired of, looking over my shoulder at church, wherever I go. I'm tired of it. So, but, Michael is Michael. He makes me laugh.
He's a good egg.
Right.
He
So,
is.
Mom, I'm so happy. I'm happy that you feel better now. I'm sorry that you have to go through what you're going through, and you've been going through it for a while now. And you
Yeah.
know how I feel about your son. So we're going to take care of him.
Okay.
And by the way, did he tell you? He didn't tell you. So Michael called me and says, "Hey, I want you to go look at this boat." So I drove.
I know about the boat.
Mom, I drove an hour each way to go look at this boat. And I said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want this boat?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, it looks good." He goes, "I can fix it up. It's a good price or whatever." So he buys it, and I don't think I had help you have it shipped, but you shipped it. And then, how long did you have this boat? Tell everybody what happened to this boat.
I know what happened because it was my nephew that did this, and he is the ditz of the world. So
He's probably watching this shit.
I mean, I heard about it probably before Michael did, and I just was livid because he does that with every piece of property he owns.
What happened? Michael, you went and saw the boat. Did you see the boat, or did you get a picture? It was underwater.
No, I got several pictures that it was it was underwater. Yeah.
It was really underwater.
Yeah, so it was tied up to the dock, and the tide went down. The boat slid underneath the dock, which it does happen, but
it wasn't tied properly.
Yeah, so it when the tide came back up, it flooded the hull, and the battery compartment was completely flooded, so it electrified the whole boat. And
the best part was Don. Ryan calls Michael and says, "Hey, man, we have a problem." And Michael said, "You can imagine, we don't have a problem. Right. You have a problem."
All right, Mom, love you. Mike, I love you. Sorry, somebody sunk your battleship, and sometimes all you can do is just laugh. All right, guys, I'll be in touch. Thank you for doing this, buddy. Okay, love you. I'll talk to you later. Click off. Get out of here. Okay, everybody. So, anyways, that's my friend Michael Fanone, and my favorite line from him is "bald-headed bitch." That's amazing. But anyway, he's a stand-up guy. He's a real guy. Now, I'm going to try this podcast thing with him. Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. We'll see. But do you guys like that? I hope you did. And I hope that you will support independent media this week, because there's been some upheaval. We've been trying to cover it. We've been doing it as honestly as we can. We're so glad. Someone just put in the chat that we have 545,000 subscribers now. So subscribers. We would love to have 545,000 members. So make sure you become a member. And just because you're a member doesn't mean that you subscribe, but please, 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 please go and become a member and subscribe. James Brem, who is a Lemon legend, the highest tier of our membership. Thank you so much. Thank you, Michael, for what you have done. And please tell Don F off. Thank you. So, so I love the community here. I love that we're just able to talk to each other. And I just think it's great to be an independent media and being able to talk like this without corporate influence or overlords or any of that stuff. So thank you. I want to welcome some of the people. Welcome Iris Vasquez to the Lemon Nation. I'm so glad that you are part of the Lemon Nation. And welcome to all of our members. And again, James, thank you for being such a stand-up guy. Let's see who else that we have here. Welcome to Lisa P., who is a new member of the Lemon Nation. We appreciate you. Yes, MC, I promise you we're getting merch. I've been talking to the merch guy, but he has not been, he's not gotten back to me as soon as he should have. Marcus in Maryland, thank you for your support, and welcome to the Lemon Nation. Lisa Buchanan, welcome to the Lemon Nation, and welcome to our membership. KB Babs, welcome as well. Mimi Martinez, we welcome you as well. Gen X bitch, welcome. I hate saying that name. Nikki Witt, welcome to the elimination. Beverly Frazier, welcome as well. Sharon Cancel, we welcome you. Kim Roundtree, TB, all of you guys. We're so happy that you're members. Marie Thompson as well. So guys, look, make sure you hit the thumbs up on your way out. Make sure you continue to support us. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And let's hope there's not some crazy chaos and we don't get, who knows, maybe we'll get another big name person who calls us right before the show and says, hey, I can come on. So we shall see. Okay, guys, thank you for supporting independent media. Please continue to. And I love you for watching. And as I always say, as I sign off on this, turn the TV off. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.